Hey everybody, I'm Carrie.
I'm Maddie.
Welcome back to Book Club.
Hi everybody! Welcome back to Book Club.
Welcome back to Book Club.
We're actually here together.
Together! Life is good.
Life is always good when we are together. We've actually been together for about a month now. Unfortunately, we didn't plan very well, and so we did miss an episode of Book Club this week because we went to ACL, Austin City Limits Music Festival, and then we were supposed to film when we got back, and I got sick. So we missed last week, but that's okay.
What can you do?
We're going to post today and next week for Halloween.
Back to back.
Back to back. We haven't done that in a hot minute.
Yeah.
And I just want to say thank you to all the support, specifically on Spotify. Y'all have been really great. Thank you so much for listening. We love you guys.
Tell your friends about Book Club.
So, I know last episode was a hot takes episode, and we try not to keep it negative too many episodes in a row, but it is October. And for an undisclosed reason, we were reading some scary books, specifically our very first Stephen King novel. And boy, it was a book. It is a book.
Arguably.
We read Carrie because thinking, okay, this is his debut novel. Stephen King is like the guy.
It's a classic.
Well,
It has to be a classic for a reason.
and mind you, I love the movies. Especially, they did a remake with Chloe Moretz, I think that's her last name, a while back, and I think it was really good. I remember watching it and being like, yeah, this is what I can get behind. The book is not that. The book is not that. Most of this episode is going to be us talking specifically about Carrie and Stephen King in general. I have seen other Stephen King movies. I've never read another Stephen King book.
I will never read another Stephen King book.
Maddie feels very, very strongly on this. I could be persuaded if somebody gave me really, really strong arguments for why they wanted me to read another Stephen King, but
You couldn't pay me, actually. You could not pay me to read another Stephen King book.
yeah, it was very...
We didn't even finish it. So
No.
we DNF'd Carrie. And you guys know, if you've been watching us for any period of time that's longer than this episode, you know that we do not DNF lightly. So if we DNF, I think in the history of Book Club, this might be
The second
book we've ever DNF'd.
The first one was Pucking Around.
No, okay. Then third.
What's the third?
There was a Sally Rooney one.
Intermezzo?
Intermezzo.
Yeah, so I actually never started that one. Can't count it as a DNF.
Well, I did DNF Intermezzo.
Okay, but still, 3 of the many, many books we've read in the
over
past
100.
2 years. And also, Stephen King is Intermezzo and Pucking Around were 400 pages plus. Carrie is less than 300 pages. And it made me so uncomfortable. If you don't know the story of Carrie, basically the plot is it was written in the 60s. So I'm assuming when it was written, it was taken kind of like present day. It doesn't have any necessarily specific time period. It's not like based in any time. It was written in the 60s, so it kind of gives that energy. I do have a little bit of a cold still, so if I cough, I'm really sorry. I'm trying to cover the mic. But it's about this girl in high school, and she is very, very highly bullied. She lives with her mom. Her mom is extremely religious, like really like almost cult like religious, like scary religious, which is why I thought it was actually going to be scary because
Religious trauma is scary.
Yeah. Sometimes the religious stuff can get crazy. And so I was like, oh, this like, things that are based a little bit in reality can make it more scary. And she gets bullied really bad. Basically, she starts her period in the girls' locker room, and all the girls make fun of her. And all of these girls get in trouble because they were bullying Carrie, who is like been bullied for a very, very long time. And then she goes home to where her mom is also bullying her in a very, very evil way. And, you know, we discover that Carrie has a telekinesis power. And spoiler, it's a classic book. Okay, this video is going to have spoilers. She gets invited to the prom. She ends up talking back to her mom and deciding to go to the prom anyways. And all these girls that made fun of her in the locker room that got in trouble pull a prank on her where they vote her prom queen. And as she gets crowned, they dump pig's blood on her. And she goes crazy with her telekinesis and basically like makes everybody rue the day.
Okay, Neville Pepperman.
You rule the day, Carly Shay. And it's very dramatic. And the movies are good. She gets crazy. And there's an element in the movies where it's almost like you're kind of, like, obviously Carrie goes crazy, but you're kind of rooting for her a little bit.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like, oh, y'all kind of had it coming. But in the book, it was like the most women hating women, and the reader is also, it felt like the reader was also supposed to hate her. You know what I mean? Like, it didn't give Carrie any redeeming qualities like she has in the movies.
I'll be so honest. Hello? I will be so honest with you. There's approximately 2 things that I remember from Carrie, and it's that I was pissed off the entire time reading it, and pee-pee pants.
Okay, we'll elaborate.
That's it.
But that's kind of how I felt reading it. I do remember most of it.
And the coffee-colored areolas. I do remember that as well.
We will elaborate. We have...
That's Carrie for you. If you wanted a spark-noted version of Carrie, it sucks. Nipples. Pee-pee pants.
Okay.
That's Spark Notes.
So let's start with the reason we think it sucks. About, I'd say, within the first 20 pages, we started to think, mind you, Stephen King is, you know, deemed this legendary author. And people like to get on about how we don't like to read male authors and blah, blah, blah. But this was this was a prime example of kind of why.
Exactly.
If you want
the first 10 pages is when she gets her period for the first time. It is described as this gushing river of blood. This waterfall pouring between her legs. And anybody who's ever had a period or been around
a woman,
right, has been around anybody with a period,
or is just a man who, even if you haven't been around women, have educated yourself,
if you're knowledgeable,
if you have a daughter
at all, you know that that's really not,
especially the first time,
right? Like the first period you get is not this gushing of blood.
If it was, you would need to go to the hospital,
right? If you're gushing blood, medically there is probably something else going on.
Yes, so that was insane. And also, the adjectives that he was using were so, first of all, childish. This is at the time, when he's writing this, he's a grown man writing this novel. The adjectives he's using, it's like, okay, dude, so I know people get shit sometimes for oh, clearly they picked up a thesaurus. He could have used one. He could have used one, actually, in moderation, because it was insane. It was like her stinky, pimply butt describing Carrie. And it was like she was fat and stinky and ugly.
And sweaty and pimply.
Hey, what? Also, mind you, this kind of segues us into our next pinpoint that Maddie said, which was boobs or areolas. We're getting all of these adjectives. Mind you, not one hair color, not one eye color, not
really any description.
Not a personality description. There, really not much, except for example, when the gym teacher walks into the locker room to see the girls bullying Carrie, this is verbatim how the gym teacher is described. The slender, small-breasted gym teacher, Mrs. whatever her name is. We don't know her hair color. We don't know what she looks like. You don't know anything aside from the fact that she's skinny and flat as a board. Excuse me? Mind you, this is in the first 30 pages. Maybe the first 20 pages. Maddie and I were reading and we could not believe our eyes. I was like, wait, is this serious?
Is this real life?
Is this real? It was crazy. And there are so many characters in this book. I mean, it covers...
You're introduced to the entirety of Carrie's high school.
Basically, yeah.
And their parents.
And future... And, like, we're jumping, chapters are kind of jumping ahead to, like, future news reports and stuff after the incident happens. And so we're getting news reporters and we're getting other interview people. And I don't know what anybody looks like, except I could describe their boobs in great detail. And
the coffee-colored areolas.
that was real.
I don't remember who it was about.
I think it was about Carrie. I want to say it was like
yes, and her breasts were pointed to the floor with her coffee-colored areolas.
Yes, so there was one point in which they're trying to describe Carrie is on her hands and knees, basically. She's fallen to the floor in hysterics. Hands and knees. And the way that instead of saying she's fallen in hysterics or tripped or is on her hands and knees, it is, she's on the ground, breasts pointed to the floor. Huh? Brother, huh? I'm
Why?
like, bruh.
I'm like, bruh. What?
It's the craziest book that, like, I'm literally flipping through it and I'm like, excuse me.
When does this
What did
hell
you just
end?
say? What did you just say? And
it was like being trapped for however many hours we were reading it for. Purgatory.
yeah, it was terrible. And also, now that I'm thinking about it, and this could be, you know, I'm thinking if in the movies it is kind of set, like the original movies in the 70s, this could very well be like Sign of the Times or like small town high school situation. There's a scene where the gym coach is going to talk to the principal and being like, hey, there was a situation. We've got to figure out what to do here and how to, like, punish these kids, basically. And the gym teacher is being like, well, what exactly happened? And the principal was like, what exactly happened? And the gym teacher goes, well, you know, Carrie, she got her first menstrual cycle and this happened, and the principal's like, okay, you know what, you handle this however you see fit.
Oh my god, men scared of women yet again.
Yet again.
And I think that's kind of one of the biggest examples of why
we don't read male authors.
And it's like, I don't normally sit here and pinpoint different authors, like, I don't like this guy, and I don't like this guy, and I don't like... It's just, in general, is normally this is the blueprint, like, in-your-face example, but even with smaller, like, nuances, it's what it feels like a lot of the time to read especially when it comes to teenage women written by men, that's what it feels like to read one, because you're like, have you ever even encountered a teenage girl? Do you know anything?
It's kind of like how when a woman, a female author, writes a male main character, and she does it phenomenally and beautifully, and the female author writes men better than they actually exist. It's like that, but completely the opposite.
Yeah.
It's like that, but not like that at all, because men don't know how to write women.
And here's the thing. Is there are exceptions to this. I haven't found one yet specifically, but I haven't read a lot, so I can't, I don't have a lot of examples.
And we really do not. I actively avoid male authors majority of the time.
I don't even have to actively avoid them, I feel like, because when I get recommended a book or when I see a book, 9 times out of 10, if I look interested in it, it just so happens to be written by a woman, and I'm like, okay, that's not a coincidence. It's women know what women want to read, and that is the type of genre and the type of books I like to read. Romances specifically.
Yeah.
And I don't want to. I'm not interested in romance written by men because.
Oh my God! Can you imagine?
It feels like the entire media is filled with romance written by men. I mean, that's basically 50 Shades of Grey.
50 Shades of Grey is by a woman.
And I think that's insane. I haven't read the book, but at least
what's funny is that I would say king of romance or like the rom-coms is Nicholas Sparks, who is a male author.
what has he written?
The Notebook, The Last Song.
Oh. Okay. I mean, yeah, but if you think of, again, I haven't read these books,
I haven't either.
but I've seen the movies, and I love The Notebook, don't get me wrong, but it's from the point of view of the man. And honestly, if I was watching now that I'm older, watching The Notebook, I think she should have picked the rich, nice guy who was just as hot and didn't scream in her face.
Yeah.
Hear me out.
No, valid.
I don't know.
No,
what the
so
last song
valid. I
was.
feel like it was with Miley Cyrus and Liam Hemsworth.
Oh, I don't remember that one much. I think I
I
watched
don't
it
either.
one time when I was
think
very
there
small.
was a traumatic death.
I don't
Yeah.
remember the rest.
Nah.
Yeah, but if you think about it, like when men write, and this is really just going off of The Notebook, and I'm sure a few other romances that men have written. Whenever a man writes a romance, they like create the most subpar man and then like a rich, nice guy. And the woman is always like, oh, what do I choose? Let me choose the loser. I've had enough.
Hey, in ACOTAR, Feyre doesn't choose the loser.
Thank God.
Thank God. And
Thank God
also,
for that.
that's what making me very excited for People We Meet on Vacation, the first Emily Henry to be turned into a movie. And also, if you think about it, what is one of the best, most popular romances in the media as of now? Bridgerton.
And I was going to say Outlander as well.
Oh, Outlander. Oh, that one's almost more of like romance drama, like the drama, and that goes crazy. But just romance, Bridgerton. And
Julia
who directs
Quinn.
it? Who directs or
Shonda
Shonda Rhimes. Now that is a TV show. Those are romances, one after another, after another, after another.
Any two characters, if Shonda Rhimes gets her hands on two actors and puts them, you just know the chemistry is about to be on.
And I think I saw a thing, and it was, I reposted it on my Instagram actually, and it was a meme tweet thing that was like, Jane Austen novels are timeless because it is about very intelligent, thoughtful, deep women having to speak with loser men.
Yes.
And
there's one thing that persists more than anything else. It is loser men.
making it everybody else's problem. Don't make it my problem if you're a loser.
Genuinely.
And there's things like the female gaze that's like, it is so easy to comprehend the male gaze. I think it's because Meryl Streep said this in an interview one time, and I've never forgotten it. Women have spent hundreds of years, their entire lives, learning to understand men because they are women, and also out of survival purposes, they're our greatest predator.
Yeah.
That you have to, and it's also so ingrained, that's just what you do. And men are only, sometimes even, starting to crack the surface or just kind of poke at the surface of what it even means to be a woman, or trying to understand it or comprehend it in any way. That don't even get me started on trying to explain the female gaze to them, because if you show them the scene from Pride and Prejudice where Mr. Darcy flexes his hand, they don't get it.
But then they'll like take it and they'll think they get it, and then what you get is performative males, which is, hear me out, sometimes worse.
Hear me out. I don't know. This might get the scary people mad at me. Is Stephen King a performative male?
Stephen King is a male that should be in a cage.
You know?
And that's my truth. And that's my truth. That doesn't have to be your truth. That doesn't have to be Carrie's truth.
That is my truth.
Yeah. And for the final point that Maddie brought up that I do feel like needs to be explained is Mr. Pee-Pee Pants.
Oh, I totally forgot.
To explain, There is a character.
A real character.
A real character in this.
On page.
I'm pretty sure he's a minister of some kind. He's not like a big character, but this was a real name that had to be put in there. Mind you, we're reading the book and listening to the audiobook as well, so that we can be doing things as we're reading this. We're reading it together. And there is a character, and we're listening, and it goes, blah, 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 blah. And then Mr. P.P. Bliss said, blah, 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 blah.
We said, skirt.
Who?
Hold on. Whom? Whomst?
And then I looked at it in the book, and it was P.P. Bliss.
Bliss.
Not pants.
Keep thinking.
So whenever you're reading it and or hearing it, Mr. P.P. Bliss. Excuse me? You wrote that and thought that was a good idea?
It just feels like if you gave like a 17-year-old boy who thinks that like,
What's the scariest thing you can think of? Period blood.
Period blood.
And women.
Yeah.
and like I don't know, maybe men don't ever grow up and they always stay stupid and useless, but
Jesus.
It's not my fault. They can do better.
They can do better.
They can do better and they refuse to. That's their fault. But like, it just feels like if you gave like a high school boy a like writing, well, maybe not now because many high school boys are illiterate, but like at one point in time, if you gave a high school boy a writing prompt, scary movie, let's go. He's going to be like, so first of all, there's period blood because bitch, is that not the scariest thing you've ever heard of?
And you know, when I was a child and had no education, mind you, in a town where I was literally raised in the smallest little church, I didn't know anything. I didn't even know what a gay person was. I thought if you said a cuss word, you went to hell. That was my elementary school experience.
Her lore before we met goes crazy.
We met it in the 6th grade. This is up until the 5th grade. In the 5th grade, when there was a girl at lunch that told me what was going to happen, because there was a girl in our grade that got her period very, very early. And it was like, oh, so-and-so, she has to go to the bathroom, she's on her period. And I was like, what does that mean? And they were like, oh, well, that's when you go to the bathroom and you pee blood. And I was like, no. I was like, I don't want to do that. And they were like, well, if you don't do that, you have to go to the doctor because then something's wrong. And I'm like, something's wrong if I don't pee blood? I was so confused and terrified. So when you have a lack of education, it is terrifying.
Yeah.
I can only imagine the voodoo that the men are cooking up in their brains.
Oh my God.
And in elementary school, and I don't know if this is true for you or true for anybody, but in my elementary school, there was a specific set-aside day in 5th grade where you had to, all the girls went in one classroom, all the boys went in another classroom, and they said, here's your puberty video, projector on. And then we watched, maybe we didn't, I don't know. I remember one gender had to watch the other genders, but it wasn't the same, like not, I think the boys watched the boy and the girl one. Huh. But the girls only got to watch the girl one because theirs obviously talks about sometimes your pee-pee gets happy and he stands up.
Ew!
And ours was like, you're gonna start bleeding!
It was one of those movies, Final Destination, get ready for puberty.
Yes.
And then they gave us like a sash with a mini deodorant and they were like, hey, by the way, put that under your arms. All of you smell like shit. Because it's 5th grade. We're all like 11, 12. BO has kind of started. So put this on.
Oh, Jesus. No,
I imagine that if you told a 5th grader, like, hey, what's the scariest thing you can think of after they've watched the puberty video? They're like, fuck that. Carrie.
Also, mind you, Stephen King wrote this in the 60s. So he had a wife at the time. I will get into the explanation of how this story came to be. Because the copies that we have, I have it right here, is like an anniversary, 50th anniversary or something. Let me see. And it talks about how he came to be the author that he is.
Can I say something so hateful?
Sure. This is only the internet.
Well, now I'm second guessing. I was going to say, he's written so many books, but to be fair, if I was writing at an illiterate 7th grade level that was this shit, I could also write 65 fucking books.
You know? Yeah, wait.
The story itself, I feel like, could have been interesting, but the writing was just so subpar and pissed me off to an astronomical extent. What?
Okay, yeah. So, it's saying in this little intro thing, I'm seeing words like, oh, it was written at the height of one of the first Me Too movements in the early 1970s, and it's a nod to a new form of feminism in this novel. I don't think we read the same novel.
We're not reading the same book. A book that is so descriptively talking about teenage girls' boob color. That doesn't feel like a new wave of feminism to me, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, that wasn't what I was looking for, but that is very unfortunate.
Crazy thing to say.
Basically, how this book came to be is that Stephen King was an author for an adult men's magazine, and I've never read one of those. Shocker. I'm guessing, I don't know if they had little stories or little stories you could read to spice up the photos or something. And he was writing a column or something for that, and he started it off with the contents of a teenage girl and menstrual blood, and then decided, men don't want to read about menstrual blood. The teenage girl part, totally fine though, apparently. And crumbled that up, threw it away. His wife found the paper and was like, curious about this girl who's, I don't know, whatever the storyline at the time was, getting bullied, I don't know. She was curious to see where this story would go, what's happening with this character, and asks her husband, what's happening with this character? So he decides to go on and write a book about it.
And now we all have Carrie.
And I do think it has evolved movie-wise into something that I do like. I really did like the remake of it, and it felt
it's iconic.
It is iconic, and it felt like, oh, y'all were terrible to this girl.
Yeah.
And now she's gonna go crazy.
Right.
Fair enough. But the book itself was just written so, I don't know,
when you have the contents of the book.
it was cringe.
Yes. When you have the contents of the book paired with the descriptive words used to describe, the adjectives used to describe teenage girls, plus the backstory lore, it just doesn't settle right with me personally as an adult woman who thinks it's weird when grown men do anything that involves teenage.
No, you could have just ended it there. Do anything.
Yeah, no, I think it's annoying and weird when grown men.
Yes.
And men, just boys, all of them, no thank you.
I really think, and this is, Maddie, if you've been watching for a while, speaks very intensely about things. Especially with books, I can give grace and I can try to be diplomatic and see both sides, but truly when reading this book, as somebody who does give a lot of grace and does read books considering the sign of the times they were written in, I was reading this and I was 20 pages in being hey, what? What is going on here? And I was so shocked as everybody raves about him that I don't know, safe to say I was disappointed. I have no desire at all to, before this, I was so excited about Stephen King books and I really wanted to read some. Now, I not only did this book, it wasn't just oh, I didn't like this. It has completely put a bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah.
And I think it's strange. It made me uncomfortable more than anything. And
I agree.
on top of the things that just made me uncomfortable, the writing itself was incredibly childish.
Yeah.
Unless somebody could come to me with a full-on explanation and state their case on, listen, maybe this is a one-off. Maybe a flip switched. He got incredibly better in his other books or something like that.
I know for a fact that's not the case.
We have friends, though, that absolutely love his books, though.
Who?
Juan.
What?
He loves Stephen King. This is Maddie's cousin's fiance, and he loves Stephen King.
What?
Yes.
I'm gonna have to ask. I'm gonna have to infer further.
Yes, we're gonna have to talk to him about this because he loves scary books. He reads thrillers and horrors.
I love thrillers and horrors, but
He loves Stephen King.
to me, I just don't think that this kind of like solidified for me that men don't know true horror. Their scariest thing is a woman on her period. Oh, great.
Yeah, that's fair. A horror book, I have not read a bunch, but one written by a woman, I'd be terrified.
Horror books written by women, like even just like thrillers, like The Housemaid by Frida McFadden, anything Frida McFadden, you never see the plot. Well, I never see the plot twist coming. Like, it's like so.
If you don't see it, I'm definitely not.
It's like so like Bunny, Mona Watt, Bunny. That is an author who knows how to write a fucking book and get the point across, and it leaves you feeling like, what the hell? Hold on a second. Carrie was just like, boobies and blood, and it's like, okay, go get your little sweet car, your fucking Hot Wheels, and fuck off.
And it just makes me wonder too, because I'm thinking historically, if we're going back to, I know Frankenstein nowadays is not a horror book, like it's not scary, but at the time it was considered a scary book, a gothic book.
Yeah.
And Mary Shelley was the most emo girl on the planet, dude. If you don't know some Mary Shelley lore or some Frankenstein lore,
Learn.
go look into that. That was one of the books I read in high school that I was like, oh, this girl is on one. What the hell?
Women invented horror and thrillers.
You know
Men
what?
don't know.
Yeah.
She did. Mary Shelley is like the CEO of scaries.
Of the scaries.
She invented the scaries, like the fun scaries. Yeah, we all have Mary Shelley to thank for that. You know who we don't have to thank? Men. And that can be said for most things. I'm sure the Thomas Jefferson light bulb guy, I'm sure he stole that from his wife too.
So, listen, if anybody ever tries to get on to me, because I do consider myself a pretty open-minded person, there are certain books where I'm like, it's not my personal cup of tea, but if somebody that I cared about and I knew personally really stated their case, I would maybe give it a shot. I do really want to read Brandon Sanderson, who is a male fantasy author, and he is considered an iconic fantasy author.
Okay, so Pierce Brown, Red Rising, loved that. I did really enjoy that. So there are a few male authors. We read a few horror books last year, Southern Fried, that's not what it's
not called Southern Fried Homicide. It's called A Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires.
And we read We Used to Live Here. Both of those are thriller horrors. I thought those were pretty good, both by men. So there are male authors that can write well. I just don't personally think that I've been convinced that Stephen King is one of them, or that he is some icon and legend that paved the way.
I won't even be totally turned off from an author. I'm normally never turned off from an author just by one book. Even Sally Rooney, who I really, really did not like her writing style, I still tried to read 2 of her books.
Yeah. I've read 3.
With Stephen King, that is the first book I ever read, who is such an iconic author that everybody raves about, that I was like,
I'm not doing this.
I have no desire to read this anymore. To read his books, his writing, nothing.
Not happening.
And I also am somebody who loves scary movies. I love The Shining. I didn't love Pet Sematary, but I was terrified.
Salem's Lot is also terrifying.
I've seen it, and it was scary.
The stories that he comes up with seem, in theory, like they should be good, but the writing in Carrie was just so
incredibly disappointing.
It really just kind of put a bad taste in my mouth to how it got started, the concept of the first story,
the whole lore.
To get to his next book, this first one had to be a big hit, and it was in the 70s.
Men are weird.
So, I don't know. That's kind of all we've got for now. I know that was, again, another really negative episode, and I am sorry to any listeners who love Stephen King, but I hope that you can understand. If you haven't read Carrie, flip through it maybe, or maybe if you want to, just take our word for it, because the things that we said are in the book, I promise you they're in the book. And I don't know.
Take a gander to your local public library, rent a book, rent Carrie,
so again,
flip through the first 30 pages, and
I know that a lot of people really love him, and unfortunately, we just didn't. Hopefully you can understand why.
Yeah.
And we'll have a bit of a more fun episode for next week. And it won't be so, what the heck was that?
Yeah.
So, yeah. In the comments, recommend us some, like, true horror books if you've got any.
Yeah.
Because I would like to read some more. I'd like to broaden my horizons in this genre. Far, far, far away from Stephen King.
Please.
Thank you. And you know what? That's all she wrote.
And that's all she wrote. Follow us on Instagram and on Threads and on TikTok.
And join
and
our
on
book
Fable.
club on Fable.
And
We post episodes every 2 weeks, except for this week. We're going to have one next week. So keep an eye out for the Halloween episode.